Hello everybody, Dr. Don Clum here with YourWellnessTribe.com. Today I'm going to go over a very important topic, one that is leading me forward in the series that we've been doing so far on insulin, insulin resistance, weight loss, and health. Today we're going to talk about sugar burning versus fat burning. What does that mean? There's so many people out there who reach out and say, hey, look, I get the concept, but I don't really know what that means. Today's topic is a little bit heady. It's a little bit more biology, but we're going to be building on it, so I'm going to try to keep it very hyper-focused to sugar burning versus fat burning, what the true meaning is so you can stay where you want to be. Because there's nothing worse than doing everything you think is right and find out it's not. Find out it's working against you or so forth. So let's get this right. So here we go. Sugar and fat. Those are the two key raw materials that your body uses to make energy. They don't get burned for energy. They get distilled down to make energy. That's a very important distinction. You have a gas tank here of fat, a gas tank here of sugar. Either one can enter through this funnel and into the cell. This is the cell. This is the cell membrane. You see that? It's like on a plant, there's a cell wall. It's a cell membrane like a squishy water balloon. It's the balloon itself. Right here I have there, that's a castle. I think of it as your castle wall. That's your defense. That's your barrier to the outside, cell to cell to cell, like your skin is for your body. All right, so that's the cell membrane on the outside. Over here is your nucleus. This is where all your genetic material is housed and lives. Your DNA, your genetic code, everything that we have in there that gets passed down lives in here, and those are little DNA strands and genetic code in there. Okay? You also have a whole bunch of what's called organelles that convert these raw materials that come in into ATP, or the unit of energy that your body then uses for a lot of different things. And those are called mitochondria. And you can have lots of them, up to 4,500 in each and every one of your cells. These mitochondria convert the raw material inside the cell to make the energy unit ATP that then gets used to rebuild your castle wall, your membrane, keep it healthy, keep it permeable, keep it flexible. It also goes into repair. There's tons of repair mechanisms within the cell itself to keep itself healthy, sturdy, strong, and everything going right. It also sends energy over here. This is my attempt at an engine. And this is where that unit of energy gets actually converted into cellular energy. We're talking life energy, not cappuccino energy here, but life energy to keep that cell doing what it needs to do, keep it healthy and happy, just like having good energy in our life keeps us healthy and happy. It also sends that energy unit over here. That's my Superman drawing, the Superman crest, because that energy is there to protect your DNA. Because within your DNA, there's all sorts of different options in there. Just like a brand new set of encyclopedias, or for you young people, like a brand new search engine out on the web. It is unlimited with the amount of information. It depends on what we trigger, what we reach for, what we grab, what we open up, what we read, and what we apply to how your DNA expresses. It's not automatic. So it's very important to keep it protected and very healthy. Otherwise, some of those incorrect volumes can come out. And that's how disease gets triggered. Heart disease, cancers, dementia, Parkinson's, diabetes, stroke, you name it. Any kind of disease process, chronic disease process we have in our body is somehow triggered within our DNA. But again, it's triggered. It's not automatic. That's a whole nother talk though. Okay, so that's the inner workings of the cell. And so this is what's going on. And here's the key. When you have what you burn for fuel, being a fat burner or a sugar burner isn't simply a matter of whether you're burning fat or burning sugar. I know that seems counterproductive. You can burn fat and not be a fat burner. Because to be a fat burner, that's a whole separate route of metabolism. That's a metabolic state, not just a moment in time. Just like burning sugar is a separate and distinct, different metabolic state within your body, not just a moment of time. So we can use one or the other, and it doesn't use them exclusively. So when you're a fat burner, you're still burning a little sugar. And when you're a sugar burner, there's still a little bit of fat, but not that much going on. And the determining factor of which side of the line you're on here is insulin. Right there. Insulin comes into your body, into your tissues, or from your body, from your pancreas, into your tissues, into the cells themselves, right down to the cell, to where that raw material enters your cell, and it blocks fat from being used. Now, if this metabolism pathway is blocked and fat can't get in to make the energy in your, this is basically a refinery, like raw crude material refined into ATP. If you can't get the crude material fat into that refinery to make your energy, all you're left with is sugar. And that sugar goes through and it makes the energy or the ATP that goes throughout your body, and there you go. That is what's called being a sugar burner. But there's some downside to that. Here's the deal. Both different raw materials have different byproducts when we use them. Just like if you were going to make a fire to cook some food, right? The raw material is what you use to build that fire. The energy unit is the heat that you use to either heat your home or to cook that food. Follow me? I hope so. Here's the deal. When you use sugar, it's like using a big log in your fire pit, right? It's like using to cook your food. That log produces a lot of byproduct. It produces a lot of smoke, a lot of ash, a lot of embers through the air, things like that. It generally burns up and down inconsistently, and so does sugar. It's just like that. It burns very hot, and it produces what's called free radicals. Okay, free radicals in there. It produces a lot of them, and it also triggers a different hormonal reaction in the body when you're burning that substrate. The hormones that become dominant when you're a sugar burner are insulin, cortisol, thyroid hormone, estrogen hormone. All of these hormones, when they're in the presence of a lot of free radicals going on because of the byproduct of burning that log or that sugar, that leads to aging, accelerated aging. You can't turn back. You can't stop aging, but you can slow it down. A lot of people are aging way faster than they need to be. So by slowing it down, you're essentially turning that clock back. It also triggers disease. I'll show you how in a second. And also triggers pain. Because here's what happens. It goes in here and it's making the energy from the sugar. It's producing all these free radicals. And they float around in your system and they start to mess up all these other parts that they get. You have extra soot. You have extra byproducts. You have extra ash that you have to deal with. And it starts to interfere with how well you're building your cell membrane, your barrier to the outside world. Your castle wall starts to get crumbly. The internal mechanisms, the repair mechanisms get gooked up, like when you don't change your oil in your car and they overheat and they become less efficient. You don't repair as fast, so you don't grow and repair as well. Your engine, your internal energy goes down. And if that happens on a big enough scale, that's called chronic fatigue. That's called brain fog when it's in your brain. That's called metabolic downregulation, or when your metabolic rate goes down. That's major problems. That can have its own set of problems. And the energy can't stay in there to protect your DNA. Superman's getting hit by a block of kryptonite. So Superman's defenses drop, and suddenly now those free radicals can get in there and they can actually trigger the negative genes. You need lots of genes to be turned on and even more to be turned off for disease to start. And free radicals can do both. It can turn off the good ones and it can turn on the bad ones because energy is down, is being diverted all over the place because of the byproduct of using sugar as fuel when you're a sugar burner. All that together is called oxidation. That's what we call oxidative stress. We mentioned in the last video. People asked me, what does that mean? That's your oxidative stress. That leads to, in combination with these hormones, to systemic inflammation. Inflammation, that's autoimmune issues, that's joint pain, muscle pain issues, that's all sorts of chronic disease promoting issues. Inflammation is a bad idea. Where on the other hand, if you can get rid of the insulin, drop the insulin load, so your insulin exposure is low, and when you are exposed, you don't have high swings in it, so you get lower amounts at a time, less frequently throughout the day, so your overall net exposure is less. That will open up the fat burning pathway. It'll downregulate sugar and allow the fat to come in and go through the refinery to make ATP. And here's the deal. Instead of using a log in your fire, this is like using natural gas. A nice blue flame that is consistent and steady and has very little byproduct, very little smell, no smoke, and is very efficient. Fat is very efficient. So suddenly now we get an upgrade to our cellular function, and the castle wall, the membrane of that cell, is being repaired with high quality products being replaced. And remember, that membrane is mostly fat itself, therefore it's a double whammy, making a super strong barrier and protection from the outside. Okay, we all like to have healthy looking and healthy functioning skin. So does your cell. Then the repair starts to replace old things with new things. Not just using duct tape and bubble gum to fix everything in your cell. It's repairing and building brand new, getting new machinery in there, because a lot of it's made from amino acids and different kinds of fatty acids within the cell that can come from fat and where we get fat in our diet. And it is very efficient. Alpha hydroxybutyrate is the most efficient, which is a byproduct of the refinery of fat. That fat substrate that's going into making that energy is the most effective and efficient fuel source known to man. So our energy utilization goes up. We can take in more energy this way and not have a problem with overload or gaining weight and all that kind of things, because we're using it all over the place, and it's very, very efficient, and it has very little to no byproducts. Therefore, the free radical load is 50 times less burning fat than it is burning sugar. So your exposure to all of the damaging process and the overload goes way down. This is a form of toxicity, which I'll do in another video, but it is a form of toxicity. Therefore, everything is happy on the inside. The DNA is protected, not triggering the bad stuff, keeping the good stuff on and keeping the bad stuff off. Energy is more efficient, raising not only cellular energy, but your life, get up out of bed, not I don't feel like doing it, but I can't do it energy, into let's get up and go, repairing and keeping the membrane out there. And in the different hormones associated with fat burning are human growth hormone. That is our time clock hormone. That keeps us young. That is a fountain of youth hormone along with DHEA, if there ever was one. So keep that in mind. It keeps them higher. Testosterone, proportional to whether you're a man or a woman and what your needs are. You're not going to become manly because of this, but even women want their testosterone optimal just like men. DHEA, massive anti-stress hormone, massive repair hormone, youth, longevity hormone. Adrenaline, we're not talking cappuccino rush adrenaline, we're talking steady, well-burning, efficient adrenaline for good mental clarity and body energy to get out of bed and do what you need all day long. Oxytocin is the feel-good, it's the bonding, it's the loving, it's the connection, it's the friendship, it's the relationship hormone that kills all these negative hormones. It trashes cortisol. Stress is the killer hormone from cortisol is the killer hormone from stress. Oxytocin is his natural foe, right? It'll go right in there and it'll knock it right down. So we love oxytocin. And glucagon. Glucagon just works opposite of insulin. We can go into that another time, but you want that on there because it'll help. What glucagon does when it's on the playing field, it allows us to make and burn sugar at the perfect amount that we need, so we never interfere with fat. So we still need some sugar, and glucagon goes to the liver and allows a little bit out, little bit out, little bit out. Perfect. Just like when we're fasting or not eating, glucagon controls that. When we're eating high fat and we're keeping insulin low, glucagon controls that, so that there's never replicate and they are healthier or physically better than the previous ones. That's called healing. They don't actually change. So what we want to do is make sure that all this is in place so that when this cell duplicates, the next one that comes after is better than the one before, and that's called growth, that's called healing. That is what's dominated by these hormones on this side, and that comes from fat burning. And all of that can be turned off with just one dose of insulin. So we promote the insulin-friendly lifestyle, the insulin-friendly diet. This is why. This is a cellular level why. This is what it means to be a fat burner versus a sugar burner. This is why sugar burning promotes disease, stress, aging, and pain. And this is why being a fat burner promotes youth, it promotes longevity, it promotes health, and it promotes mental clarity and high energy on a cellular level. So this is what we want to watch. If you're going to count things, don't count calories. Count in how many times you stimulate insulin and how much you stimulate it. So keep an eye out for more videos. If you like this, if you learned something, share it with somebody. Invite them to our tribe, your tribal wellness. We are building a tribe here who will support each other. You can't opt into a tribe. You have to be in a tribe. You have to do in a tribe. You have to express what we're talking about to be in the tribe. And if you are, we want you there with us, and we'll be there for you. All right? So let's do that. YourWellnessTribe.com. Share this if you like it. And if you have questions, ask them in the feed. That's what made me do this today. It's because someone asked a very distinct and direct question, and here we are answering it. We're going to try to do more and more of these, short as I can. I'm just under 15 minutes, I can see, so that you guys stay with me. But if you liked it, share it, and check us out for the next one. Dr. Don Clum here. Thank you very much.